Hey, Christian, thank you for being here. It's so good to see you again. How have you been doing?
I've been doing great, Will. Thanks. Yeah, good to catch up.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're here because you've landed a new role and through this program. Congratulations on that. How have things been going?
Good. Everybody's been great. It's good to be back to work again. Yeah, just learning the ins and outs of my product and the business as a whole. So it's good.
All right. So before we jump into how this whole process got there, how you landed this role, I'd love to hear a little bit about what's your product management journey? Just a quick 30-second snapshot of what you've been up to career
Oh,
wise.
yeah. I spent a chunk of my career in project management and just felt like I had kind of more to contribute. And so I learned a little bit about agile product ownership, and I moved into a product owner role. And from there, I moved to different product management roles at different companies, industries being cybersecurity, healthcare, and data platforms primarily.
Okay, awesome. So when you started your job search, tell me a little bit about what was the state of things. What did it look like prior to you joining the intentional job search program? What did a typical week look like? How was that going?
I was laid off in summer of 25, and yeah, there was a little bit of fear and concern, right? My days looked like a lot of bulk applications, a bit of interviews. I was learning a number of different AI tools and how to apply them to my job. I think I kind of got stuck at the manager slash loop panel round, and I couldn't figure out why I wasn't clearing that round.
Okay. Yeah, that can definitely be that challenge. But you were getting there. You were getting the calls, which is good. You just needed to kind of figure out how to not just become one of many candidates, but the number one candidate. All right. So what got you to a place to start reaching out looking for some help, looking for something like IJS?
Yeah, I had a couple of opportunities that I was sure I was, a hand in the glove fit for the opportunity. I had clicked with everybody I spoke with, and they too were just coming up short, and I wasn't getting any feedback as to why. And I finally just had to admit, okay, you thought you knew what you were doing. Maybe the market has changed. Maybe you don't know what you're doing, and it's time to get help.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I think wouldn't it be nice if the companies would give you structured feedback?
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be nice. You don't know if if there was an internal candidate all along. You don't know if it was you at all. It's so hard to tell.
I've joked with people that said that it's hard to not be the hiring manager's best friend's sister's cousin because that's what the requirement was to get the job. But how can you ever know that? Because it's not on the job posting.
Yeah.
So when you came across IJS and you were trying to decide, did you have any hesitations about joining the program?
I did. I'm just to say it plainly, the cost, frankly, it's not inexpensive. And I remember wondering, well, number of thoughts, right? Number one, having been laid off, I had a chunk of money, and so I looked at it as sort of burn time, right? I'm significantly impacting it, so it has to be the right investment. And there was definitely a measure of like my own pride, like you don't need help, you got this, and then I'm like, I don't got this though.
Yeah, I think thinking about being in the midst of it, all of the emotions of a job search are real. And I think having a program that can give you some structure, some accountability, some opportunity to know what you should or shouldn't be doing and how you should spend your time can just alleviate some of the uncertainty in a time that's already so uncertain. When you came down to making your decision, what pushed you over the edge? What got you to the point where you decided you would join us?
Yeah, so I got down to sort of three finalist places, and ultimately this one seemed the most directly targeted. It was for product managers only. It felt like it was going to sharpen my skills, not just for the job search, but for my career as well. So it felt like it wasn't just investing in, the next offer letter. It was investing in myself and my career. So yeah, I just said, okay, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. So
That's awesome. I love that. There is nuance into the job search program. There is nuance into what type of markets you're in, what type of network you're going to be around. And I agree with you. I think there's a lot of things that get learned in this program that are not just about the job search, how to think about your work, how to articulate that story. Uh, I can't imagine looking at product management the same way if you hadn't been thinking about that to tell your story in these ways and then go to a work and it not affecting how you approach things. So I'm glad that you made the choice. It's been great to work with you. Once you got into the program, what was sort of one of your first aha moments where you're just like, this, it kind of unlocked something for you?
I I really liked the probably two. I liked how and when you initially get in, you it gets so focused on exactly what you're looking for. Being a recovering bulk applicator. Right. Like if the title was what it was, I just applied for it. And there are a number of detractions for that. Although yeah, I at the end I did still do a lot of volume applications, but it was more thoughtful, and I definitely had some that I targeted completely laser focus targeted, and so narrowing your focus and positioning yourself for that role was definitely an eye opener. And then the behavioral interviews and the tell me about yourself preparation was something I'd never even thought of before. And then I couldn't help but wonder how many times did I mishandle those and therefore not get the job, you know?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up both parts of it. I do think there's still a volume part where you do have to go through a lot of applications to get attention. There's a whole section on sort of networking and how to warm up your network to help you make some of those introductions. But to your point of not just a spray and pray model, but to have a reason for why you're special for a role is powerful. And I'm glad that that was helpful for you. And yeah, the narrative piece, telling the story in the right way makes a huge difference. And it is a very learnable skill, isn't it? I mean, you made huge progress in the program.
I
What are your
did.
thoughts on that?
I did, and it's funny. Initially it was a little bit frustrating when I would not pass one of these behavioral tests, and that that in and of itself was great. That you have the structure and rigor of you have to pass this, and then you move on to that. And it sort of forces you to improve. And initially, the few times I didn't pass, I'm like, but I said it though. They're being harsh, and then I'm like, yeah, no, this is what you need. Like, this is why you're not advancing. I'm like, okay. The minute I had that thought, I'm like, all right, good. Beat the bad habits out of me. And yeah, I got much better. I got much better.
I appreciate that you recognize that. I appreciate because there is an element of people want to just get to the finish line,
Yeah.
but the finish line is being interview ready. It's getting those bad habits out of you. It is approaching things in a way that's going to help you succeed, not just a checkbox. Because this whole thing, the whole purpose of the program is to help you land a great job that is right for you and is going to move you into a place in your career that you really want. And it's not just about jumping through hoops. It's not just about getting a passing grade. We could give everybody passing grades, but if they're not passing, it doesn't actually help them.
Right.
And grade sounds wrong, but like a scoring process of like an assessment of how well you're ready for that next step. So thanks for calling that out. I appreciate it. And I'm glad that you that was valuable for you. So walk us through a little bit about how you landed this current job. How was IPM part of it? Where were we involved? How did this help for you?
Yeah, I mean the number one I think factor to me getting this job was being able to navigate the behavioral questions well. Hit all the points. I then was able to relay experiences where I demonstrated the points that I was making, and I really stuck the landing. And that was the number one reason I got the job, was be able to handle that with grace and elegance. Frankly, I don't do much that's elegant, but
No, I like that. I like that answer. And we're going to go with that for sure. So, well, that's awesome. When you think about the program, if you had to put it into your own words, what it is, what it does, or if you were to go back to your earlier self when you were trying to decide this version and you're trying to think, you didn't know what you know now, how would you describe this to yourself in a way that would make it clear that this is what you needed to do?
Yeah, it's cliche, but I wish I would have gone sooner, right? I would have probably prevented months of unemployment and angst and anxiety. But yeah, so I guess I probably would put it, you know how to do the product manager job, and that's great. And you can do it well, and that's also great. But you don't necessarily in this market know how to apply for and win the product manager job. And that's what you're going to get here. And all the while you do that, the coaching you're going to receive to get the job is going to level up your thinking when you're on the job as well. Like I feel more confident. Feel more focused on the problem and not so much jumping straight to solutioning, right? And that's a big part of, and the curriculum is sort of guiding you to keep focused on the problem. And the whole design curriculum, frankly, is great for once you get the job.
I love that. Yeah, I tell people in the process when they're worried about the product design, product sense type work, is that they're like, oh, I've never really done this. And I'm like, well, you've been a product manager. You've been doing this for a long time, but what
Yeah.
you haven't learned is how to talk about it in a way that shows people you're thinking. And as you talked about the behavioral interviews and this resonating, and then also this being valuable in the job, you knew how to do product sense. You just didn't necessarily know how to articulate it, organize it, or move people through that process because that is its own skill.
Yeah.
Be- there's so many things that we do as PMs that almost become natural for us because that's why we're good at parts of our job is it just makes sense to us that it's hard to sometimes break that down in something that can be articulated. So I'm glad that we have the curriculum to help people do that. And I really loved your description of yes, it might be cliche. I wish you had started sooner. We're glad that you joined when you did. So, don't live with any regrets. You're in the right place. You're doing great things. So that part's good. But yeah, it is, it does, I see it a lot. I see it level up PMs because there's a lot of what product management is that is storytelling, influencing, guiding, selling an idea, a vision of where things can be. And a lot of that is understanding the psychology of the people you're talking to. We try to talk through that in the program and help you craft your stories in a way that really helps resonate with people that way.
Yeah.
Um, is there anything, if for somebody who might be watching this, is there anything that you would want to share with them about the program, about the decision, about anything?
Yeah, having sampled a few different coaching services, I think probably the biggest differentiators are that there is a structured progression in which all aspects of your getting the job, the networking, the real questions, your applications, your target companies and jobs, all of that will be reviewed and talked through with people who are leaders in the industry. So you're not just left to watch some videos, right? You are coached through this, which is great. And then, yeah, the other thing is by the time you pass all of the required steps, man, I was like from the Rocky movie. I was one of those lean fighters. Like I was hungry. I was in, mid-season form. And yeah, when I was interviewing at the end, although I was of course still like anxious, got to get a job, but I knew when I would go into an interview, I got this, and I would knock some out of the park. I would hang up and be like, "Stop offer."
I love that. I think it's so great. And you did, I watched your journey. I was part of that with you, coaching you through a lot of this. I watched your mindset change and grow through the program of feeling a sense of doubt and then eventually being in a place where the phrase I like to use is that I love to try to get our students to realize that they're badasses and have every right to be in those interviews. And I felt like you embodied that. By the time you were at the end, you're just like, hey, they may choose to go with someone else, but it doesn't change the fact that I'm amazing at what I do and I'm going to tell my story. And if it's the right fit, it's the right fit. And if it's not, that's okay. That was a nice change to watch from the beginning where I didn't feel like you had quite that swagger going into it. And it's good to see now. And now you've landed a great role and congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, I came in pretty demoralized, and I left with the eye of the tiger.
There you go. I love that description. Christian, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us, and best of luck. I can't wait to continue to watch as you continue to grow your career. You're going to be great at it.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Will.
All right. Thank you.